Hello everyone, welcome. Today we're going to talk about a game called Back in 1995. It is a indie Japanese survival horror game that emulates PlayStation 1-esque survival horror. So you are looking at a tank control-esque type game. So if you're familiar with Silent Hill, Resident Evil, Alone in the Dark, you'll probably be right at home with forward going forward, left and right turning slowly, and being able to walk backwards. In your arsenal, you'll be having a pipe wrench, a handgun, and a shotgun. Now, the thing with the gun controls in this game is if the enemy is somewhat in front of you, your killer will actually slightly auto-aim to him to a certain extent. Can be a little clunky, but unlike some games where you actually had to aim your control, it gives you a little mercy there. You can also reload while walking backwards. Sadly, you can only reload when your gun is fucking empty. There is no reload option or combining your ammo to your gun like in Resident Evil games. So you kinda will get used to needing to walk backwards when the reload animation happens. Monsters are pretty slow and you can avoid them. There is a very strange thing with textures in this game, and to talk more about those would go into spoilers, so you'll have to sadly wait for the spoiler section about that. But to go on, you will learn in the early game, you play as Kent, you obsessed with going to a tower at the beginning of the game, and you journey from rooftop to rooftop trying to get to this tower. As you play the game in the early stages, you'll find notes about some weird dimensional experiment gone wrong, so it gives this idea that what's going on with the textures might have something to do with this weird dimensional thing, but sadly I can't speak any more of it until we get to spoilers. So going on, the monsters are pretty slow, so you can run past most of them if you're a crazy person like that, but you all gave it a decent amount of ammo to be able to kill most stuff. The early monsters are killable by winches, but you have to be cautious and learn when to hit them and back up and hit them again with the winch to be safely. There are not that many enemy types in the game. There are very few. Actually, there's one enemy that only appears one. I believe it was one, maybe? No. I think it appears 3 times, actually. But overall, there are very few monsters in this game, so you'll quickly get to see which ones there are and how to handle each one. But you're given a pretty decent amount of ammo to deal with most monsters. The only thing I would always use the winch on for sure is the tentacle creatures. If you're going to kill those, they can respawn back through loading screens depending on certain parts of the game. So if you shoot them, you're using up your ammo and that, so you want to be very cautious about that. Problems I've had with the game, the log system in the menu is weird. It was locked for me in my time playthrough on the text from the beginning of the game. It's supposed to log in documents you read, and apparently other people have had issues where, like, they read one document, it appears in the log, they read another document, it overrides that, when it's supposed to show multiple logs, because, like, currently one of the save files I'm messing with right now actually shows multiple logs. So there's something still wrong with the log thing in this. Another issue I had was where a door unlocked and it stayed on that door and gave control back to me before coming back to me for a little while. So for a second I thought I was going to have to turn off the game. That only happened once. And one other issue is the second lock combination puzzle. This game has very few puzzles. There's basically 3. There's a lock combination puzzle, a moving box puzzle, and then you have a turning off gas valve puzzle, which is not really much of a puzzle to be honest, but we're stretching it anyway. The second lock combination puzzle is bad. So you find, I'm just going to kind of tell you how to figure it out a little bit. I'm not going to solve the actual equation, but I'm going to tell you what was wrong with it. So you'll find a note telling you about a cursed item in a safe. This quote-unquote safe is actually a locked door. So the safe is a locked room, and the womb number that tells you to use for the solution with the ID is on the it's on a painting in a womb. It says in the note the womb number, but what it actually is a number that's on a painting in a womb. You use that number with their ID number to get the solution for the womb number. So I'll let you figure it out from there if you actually play this game, because I was like, I see no safe, I don't see anything related to this door combination, I don't know about this painting with a number on it. It's like, it was the only puzzle that gave me trouble. It was weird, and I probably would say it was a localization issue. Like I said, this team was a team of Japanese people, so I guess whoever did the localization, I guess they didn't know how to really word that correctly. But outside of that, you'll be finding keys that unlock doors that hinder your progress outside of those puzzles. 1995 tries to bring nostalgia for the tank control survival horror games. The problem here is it doesn't really do it so good. Digitally on all platforms, which be the PS4, the Vita, the Switch, PC, and in Japan only the 3DS, this game clocks in at $9.99 on the digital storefront. If you're looking into a physical version, PlayAsia did a physical form that I think it was $29.99 or $19.99. And I think they sold out pretty quickly, so I don't think they're even available on PlayAsia anymore. So you would probably have to go to eBay, and I would find it incredibly hard to justify that price point for this game. This game, I don't really think is worth it. And like I said, I'd have to go into the spoiler section to give more context to that. But honestly, if you are forgiving to a small team trying to do something that, I mean, I can see the heart in this, but heart alone doesn't make a good game. The digital price is okay if you're willing to be a little forgiving, but if you're just looking for a good game, I would probably tell you give it a pass, which is a bit of a shame. But let's go into spoilers. Anyway, so as I said, in the early game, you're kind of given this plot thread with herring that there's some kind of interdimensional problem going on, which I thought was going to be the explanation why all the textures on walls and floors, like there's all kinds of weird moments where the textures themselves are moving and stretching. It's really, really bizarre. And I don't, like when I first saw it, I just thought it was so strange. And then I read the note about the dimensional thing, and I was like, okay, I bet that's going to be the plot reason for it. But no, that's a red herring, a very big red herring. So what's going on with Kent is apparently he's in a brain condition where he thinks it's the year 1995 and time isn't going forward for him. He just keeps being stuck in 1995 and growing older and still just regressing into 1995. Apparently the child got them a game console and a game to try and see if they would feel better, and instead Kent latched on to the character in the story and keeps reliving this survival horror-esque adventure over and over again in his head. He eventually realizes this and comes to the conclusion that he needs to commit suicide. So he commits suicide and the game starts over again. You think the game's over, but it is not. Continue. You'll play through the game, and the object you tried to reach at the beginning of the game and fell and collapsed to your knees, you'll be able to acquire it this time. Turning the light on, you'll awaken into the same room, except there's a bed in there. To me, this indicates Kent waking up from his condition. So you'll explore the first roof, the second roof, and the third roof in a straight row in the darkness filled with monsters. Since the game begun over again, the only thing you get is the winch if you got from the one room, or you can also find a winch later on the rooftop as well. You'll also get access to a shotgun. I don't know if there's also a gun somewhere on the rooftop. One of the other problems I had with the game is on my TV when I was playing this on Twitch, like the first half of the rooftops was almost completely incapable of being seen. I could hardly see most of the environment. It was really fucking dark. Luckily, in the recording, you can actually see the environment, so now I look like a bumbling buffoon in the video. The later half is a little bit brighter and easier to see, but it is pretty damn dark, and there's no screen brightness settings in this game, so you will have to manually turn your television's brightness up if you have this issue. And considering I have not had this issue with any other game, I have to assume the game is really fucking dark in this final part of the game. But you'll go through the rooftops fighting more monsters with your limited resources, as none of your resources from the main portion of the game carry over to this new game plus segment of the game. Upon returning to the door on the third rooftop, you'll get some dialogue that basically hints a few things, and then the game begins again. But this time, the Cradle talks to you, talking about the reasons for making this game. And I'm not sure if they're like beta versions of the areas or just the areas empty of enemies, but you kind of get warped around to places in the game while the Cradle is talking. And this triggers, well, the actual end. And if you didn't miss any of the main notes that one of the trophies in there are connected to, you'll get easy platinum out of it in there. But while, like I said, I understand the sincerity of the Cradle wanting to make something nostalgic for this time period, since virtually no one makes any games in this style, really. The only other game I know that tried something like this was Vaccine, which is also a tank control survival horror game. And it's just... I understand that, because there's a lot of people who love tank control games. There's a lot of people who love them, there's a lot of people who hate them. So there is an interesting nostalgia here. But honestly, I would have to say it like I heard someone else say it. If you didn't play PS1 survival horror games, or that wasn't your thing, this game isn't for you. And it is very unlikely this game is going to interest you. It is probably going to look like shit to you. If you are somewhat interested in that, it might be worth throwing $10 to check it out, but buying the physical version, you'd have to be like me, where you're just crazy and you have to own it. But honestly, this isn't worth $29, $19. It's hard to even say it's worth $10, because it's such a short playtime, depending on your speed and your problems with the second lock combination, and whether you're live streaming it or playing it by yourself. Probably live streaming it with commentary will probably fatten it up to maybe 2 hours to 3 hours. And if you're just playing by yourself and you get lucky and not get screwed over by the second lock combination like some people gun, you could easily beat this game in like an hour and 30 minutes, really. It's a pretty short game, and it's really hard to recommend at all. Like I said, if you can be a little forgiving from a small team that wanted to make something nostalgic of the time, you might find a little interest in here. But honestly, considering the dimensional storyline did not justify the textures moving, since that was a red herring, you have all these weird textual issues. A lot of the nice nods, like the character's head moving towards objects to look at to hint at items, doesn't exist in the game. It does not have anything really going for it. All the monsters look like ugly organ things, and there's no explanation for them. If they went with the dimensional thing, they could have been just, you know, weird other dimensional creatures, but now they're just things that Kent has in his head. There's no explanation. They're not like based on anything, which is kind of a shame, because it could have went in a Silent Hill direction with that and tried to link them to something in Kent's life, perhaps. But game doesn't go there, sadly, and it's just pretty poor, honestly. Like I said, I can see some of the heart from the cradle in this game, but it's just really hard to justify you actually paying for this game, especially when it still has several problems with it even after it's done a few updates. Like, apparently the factory box moving puzzle apparently wasn't even in the original game. It was an update that was later on. This does exist in the console versions. As far as I know, the console versions came after such said update, so there's no like version that's incomplete as far as I understand. As I said, I'm playing the Vita version, however, and it's just, well, as I said, it's just kind of hard to recommend. Honestly, you're the ultimate judge of that. $10 is still a tough sale to, even if you are slightly interested in the game. It's short, and there's so many better games, sadly, you can get with $10. It's just, like I said, if you have no interest in PS1-esque tank horror games, this is just definitely not for you. Everyone else, you'll have to use your own judgment along with my 2 cents there. But it's definitely not worth more than $10, for sure. And that's back in 1995. An interesting little experimental game from somebody said that I feel does show heart. It just has a lot of problems that still needed panned out in the game, and some design ideas that could have been better designed. Anyway, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment down below. If you feel like you learned anything interesting in this, feel free to leave a like. And if you feel like you learned nothing interesting at all, feel free to leave a dislike. Guilt-free. Thank you.
どうだった？私の作った朝ごはん。感想だよ。感想。そうか、